Thank you. Thank you. All right, check. Everybody can hear me? All right. Man, I sure missed you guys. Did you miss me? Yeah. Thank you. Welcome back, everybody. Picked the right time of year to be here. And gosh, there's so much to talk about. It's always hard to know where to stop. Of course, or where to start. Stopping, that's a whole nother problem. There's been a lot going on. One of the big major things in the news was that Microsoft is no longer selling Windows 7 or Windows 8. The only thing available for sale now is Windows 10. It's still possible to find Windows 7 or Windows 8 at any retailer that has an existing inventory, but that retailer will not be able to replenish that inventory when it's gone. So we march forward like it or not. As I've done these in the past, as I'm sure you're familiar, I like to take questions from the audience and see what's on your mind and do my best to provide those answers. And before we start, I just want to show you a quick little video I made on my YouTube channel where, these little flash drives, they're getting smaller in size and larger in capacity, and they're getting faster and faster. Now, this video doesn't have any words to it. It was actually, I was sick and I was trying to figure out what I could do to make a video to keep things moving on YouTube. And I think it kind of speaks for itself. If you don't know what the numbers mean, just know a bigger number is faster. So I'm going to show you, I'm going to direct you. I'm not going to do this too often because you guys have to crane your necks here, but just a short video of where we were and where we are when it comes to USB flash drives. So yeah, that's really neat. I'm really excited about that because that little circuit board, I call it a gum drive because it's about the same size and shape as a stick of gum. And they have those up to 2 terabytes of storage now. And now when you assemble a computer, if you were to build one yourself, it's even easier because you don't run any cables to it. You just plug it into its socket and your hard drive is hooked up. It's that easy. And the drive is so much faster. Like a standard mechanical hard drive like most of us have in our computers and our laptops run about 130 megabytes per second. A solid state drive will run about 550 megabytes per second, and these M.2 drives can run up to 2,500 megabytes per second. So the bigger that number is, the faster your computer is going to seem. And all of you here could easily do a hard drive upgrade in your machine. I've never had anybody, not once, ever approach me and go, "Can you slow my computer down? It's too fast." This will boost the speed of your computer significantly because one of the major bottlenecks on any modern computer is the hard drive. And of course, the hard drive has moving parts and it's prone to failure. Solid state drives can still fail. However, they're much less likely to fail. When they do, of course, it's solid state, your data is gone. So backups are still very important. This doesn't supersede any backups. But it's a great way to put backups onto it or to use it as your main storage device in your computer. The prices have come way, way down now, where 250 gig solid state drives are about they're about $100 for a 250 gig solid state drive. Now, if we had the same conversation 2 years ago, that price was about triple. So they've really come down in price, and they'll continue to come down in price. The capacities will continue to increase, and the speeds will continue to get faster. So I'm really excited about the state of storage. Now, before I go on, and I can go on, when we start winding down, it always seems like there's more questions than we have time for. So I want to try and get the questions started a little earlier today. So anybody want to help me out? Anybody have a question that's on their mind that you want to know? You've been gone for a while, and something happened, you don't know why it happened, or you're having an issue, or any questions whatsoever regarding your computer? Yes, all the way here in the back. Let's get you a microphone so we can hear you.
Your speed of the computer is wonderful. When does it exceed the capacity of the internet connection, the router speeds, like in-speed routers?
Well, we've got a couple of speeds we talk about, right? So you can have a Ferrari, but if you're going to drive it out by the school, it's still 25 miles an hour. If you're going to put it on the freeway, you're still limited to 65. There's different speeds. When you pay for your internet connection, you're paying for a specific speed. Then you have a router. That router will be a specific speed, usually gigabit speed on a modern router. And then you've got the wireless part of the router. And the wireless part of the router, by today's standards, is still much, much faster than what your internet service provider can bring to you. However, as the internet service providers move more and more to fiber optics, that could increase. But even today, if you went to a 300 megabit internet connection, and most of us in Phoenix, about the fastest people have, I'd say the average is about 60. Even the slowest of Wi-Fi can keep up with 60 just fine. So the wireless N isn't even the latest. The wireless AC is the latest. And as these routers get introduced, these newer routers, a lot of people think, well, I don't need to replace mine, it's working fine. But here's the thing, the newer routers have faster speeds. If you want to transfer files from one computer to another, that happens faster. And they have, they're more robust with security. And they're much more powerful. So there was a room in your house that you had a hard time getting a signal, it was a weak signal. A newer router may just fix that. I've had some people wanting to run cables. And they're like, why run cables? Just buy the faster router. Now, routers used to cost about $100 across the board. Now you can buy routers as cheap as $20, $40 and as much as $500. So you really do get what you pay for in this industry. And I think for most of us in this room, a $500 router would be way overkill. It'd be like, we'll go back to that Ferrari again. You wouldn't even take advantage of everything it could do. And it's a great sign, though. These routers now have circuitry, have little computers in them that are effectively as fast as the computers we owned 4, 5, or 6 years ago, built right into the router. 8 gigs of RAM, a 1.4 gigahertz processor, and they're very robust. Router I'm looking at for myself is about $285. So that's why I don't have it yet. The router I've got now is $180, and even that's overkill for most people. And it reaches throughout my house just fine, but I transfer a lot of files internally, doing videos and things. It takes forever to do it wirelessly. So any boost I can get in wireless is a welcome boost. And there are some people who think they don't need a router because they only have one computer. But the router acts as a firewall, so everybody here should have a router. If you have DSL internet service, then your DSL modem is a router. But if you have Cox cable, then unless you purchase the router separately, if you just plug right into that cable modem, it's not advisable because you basically are working without a firewall. Windows has a built-in firewall. It's very basic. And of course, the router also enables you to share that internet connection if you choose to do so with your smartphone or your tablet or potentially even your neighbors if you choose to do that. Other questions? Let's get the microphone here.
How long do you think that Microsoft will support the 7 and 8?
I can tell you exactly how long Microsoft will support Windows. If we just type in Windows Lifecycle into Google, what'll come up is a website. They call this a fact sheet that tells you exactly, this is actually created when the operating system is released to the public initially. So it's not like they make this up later on down the road. Every operating system has a set amount of time for what's called regular support, and then another window of time for what's called extended support. When extended support ends, that's when you need to replace the operating system, because continuing to run an operating system like Windows XP today, without any updates and without any support, you might as well just hand your wallet off to people. I mean, that's what you're asking for. Vista support is going to end this April, although a lot of software companies have stopped supporting Vista already. We're only interested on the numbers all the way to the edge. The mainstream support is basically, that means you can call Microsoft and ask for help. Has anybody ever done that? Yeah. So anyway, ignore mainstream support. It has no effect on you whatsoever. So extended support is these numbers here on the right. And Windows Vista, April 11th of 2017 is its final day. Windows 7, January 14th of 2020, and Windows 8, January 10th of 2023. And Windows 10, we're looking at October 14th, 2025. So we still have 3 years to go with Windows 7. It's got plenty of life in it. Windows 8, for most people, most Windows 8 people have moved to Windows 10 because of the frustration with Windows 8. But if you have Windows 8 and you like it, you're still good till 2018. So you still have 4 years there. Wait a minute. 2023, my bad. 2023, I was like, that number's not right. So you still have 6 years on Windows 8. And of course, with Windows 10, we are good through the next 8 years. So that information is available publicly, and you definitely do not want to be running any operating system beyond its support date. There's over 100,000 new viruses released each and every day. The latest is called ransomware. And ransomware is particularly nasty. You will click on an attachment. This is how it will happen. And you'll say, oh, this is just a zip file. I should be able to open that up and see what's in there. No. The minute you open that attachment, even if it's a zip file and you think you're just going to look at the contents of the zip file, it executes a program that encrypts all of the data, all of your pictures, all of your documents, everything that you've created. It encrypts it with a security key. And your wallpaper will usually change, and it'll say that your files have been encrypted. And if you want to get your files back, you have 7 days. The terms and conditions vary, but in general, you have about 7 days to get on the dark web using the Tor browser to send them $700 in Bitcoin. And then they will send you the decryption key to get your data back. Now, 7 police departments across the United States have had to pay this fine, or this ransom. One officer, one sheriff, was particularly fumed. And after he had the payment sent and got his decryption key, and by the way, there's no guarantee they're going to send you a decryption key, but usually they do. But once he got his decryption key, he canceled his payment, just to let him know he couldn't mess with the sheriff. So they re-encrypted his files and said it's twice as much and you got half the time to pay. So he paid it and he walked away. So that's the sheriff. So what do regular folks do, like me and you? These ransomware creators are generally all out of Russia. Most viruses are out of Eastern Europe or Russia. You know, there was a news story about a power company laptop that had a Russian virus. If it's got a virus, it's probably a Russian virus. The odds are whoever owned that laptop. You familiar with the story I'm talking about? It was recently on the news. A power company laptop belonged to one of the power companies. An employee took it home and clicked on something he shouldn't have. He got a virus. They went, oh, it's a Russian virus. They're trying to get into the power company. No. Almost all viruses are Russian. And they may not be Russian in the sense that it was from Russia, but in the sense that somebody purchased it, because that's the economy now. You can go online, you can buy a virus kit ready to roll, and just start releasing them. You don't have to do any of the work. You just have to do the distribution. And these ransomware creators are getting bolder and bolder. Some of them are saying, for example, if you don't have the ransom, if you can't afford the ransom, then infect 2 of your friends, and when they pay the ransom, we'll give you your key for free. Which means now you shouldn't even be opening attachments from people you know and trust and love. Because now there's an easy fix for this. Make copies of things that are important to you and store them away from the computer. We call that making a backup. And that's why you hear so much about it, because let's say I'm a burglar, I come in your house and I steal your camera. Who cares? You can buy another camera. But what if I steal all your photos? They're irreplaceable. That's what your data is. Your data is irreplaceable. And sure, you can get another camera and try and recreate those photos just as you could try and recreate your data, but it'll never be the same. So we make backups, we make copies, and we put those copies onto another storage device, and you hope you never need it. You don't want to leave your backup drive plugged into your computer, because the crypto virus will infect every file on every device and even over your network onto devices connected on your network. So if you're in an office with a server, it will infect the server. If you have your backup drive, it will infect the backup drive. It encrypts everything. This is ransomware. They're not messing around. So to have a backup, which means you plug the drive in, you make your backup, you unplug your drive and put it away. The next question I often get is, how often do I need to back up my data? It's an impossible question for me to answer. The question you need to ask yourself is, if I were to go home and find that my home had burned down or was broken into or spilled something on my laptop or dropped it, and I had to go to my backup, is there everything on my backup I need? And if the answer to that question is no, it's time for you to make another backup. Backups are perishable. They're like bananas. You know, after a while, the data becomes less useful to you as you continue to add more and more data to the computer. I have a customer who has a backup drive. He got infected with the ransomware. And I said, okay, here's how we fix this. I wipe your computer clean. We reinstall everything. It just takes 10 hours of my time just to do this. We reinstall Windows, reinstall all the Windows updates, reactivate Windows, get your drivers for your video card, sound card, network card. Got to locate and download and install all that. Then any programs you have, Office, Quicken, QuickBooks, we need those software installation disks along with your product keys. Then I can set it back up, turn it back on. It'll be just like a brand new computer out of the box. Then we restore your backup. And I know you have a backup drive. And he says, yes, I do. And the last time I used it was in April. I can't help him. I mean, that's it. That's all I can do. I can't wait. I mean, I wish I could. I wish I had a magic wand and I could make it go away. This guy runs a business out of his home, and you know, that's it. What do I do now? I go, I don't know what to do. Pay the ransom. I mean, by the time you pay me a couple $100 to do all this work and you're going to be down for a couple of days, you might as well pay the $700, get your data back, and chalk it up as a lesson learned. And I hate to condone or advocate paying the criminals. But in this situation, I don't know what other choice he had. Well, it turns out he was panicking a bit, and when he actually calmed down and went through his backup, he realized, yes, there was some critical stuff missing, but 90% of it he had, and he could live without the other. He's going to have to live without the other 10%. And that's it. Then the next question he wanted to know is, what can I do to prevent this in the future? I said, I've known you for years. You've never done this before. It's the holidays. I think you're in a hurry, you're distracted, you clicked on something you shouldn't have, but you've never done that before. I don't think you need to change anything other than making your backups more often. I don't know why you stopped making your backups in April. If all you did was continue to make your backups on a regular basis, this whole story would be completely different. It would still suck, you'd still be down, but at least we could get you back up and going again. Here, he's going to get going again 80%, and then he'll have to sort of make up the other 20%. And then, a couple of months will go by and he'll forget all about it and things will move on. So just be aware of that. It's really big right now. Yes, we have a question right here.
What about backups like Carbonite and mirror images and so forth like that you can buy?
Yeah, Carbonite is a great online backup service where you back up into the cloud. That's a great buzzword now, the cloud. The cloud is just someone else's computer. That's all it is. So you're backing up to Carbonite's computers when you use Carbonite, and Carbonite has a competitor called Mozy, M-O-Z-Y, and they're like $60 a year, and it'll automatically back up your data. You don't have to do anything. It automatically looks in your My Documents folder for pictures and music and files, and it automatically sends them up to the cloud. Now, if you were to get ransomware and you didn't realize it for a couple days, Carbonite's not smart enough to realize that. It'll go, oh, all your files have changed. Let me re-upload all these files that have changed, which are the corrupted or encrypted files. But what Carbonite does, and Mozy does this as well, is they have versioning, meaning you can go back to the previous backup, the previous version of the file, and recover that. Now, depending on the speed of your internet, this could take a while. This could take days or weeks, depending on not only the speed of the internet, but how much data you've got. But that's still a heck of a lot better than nothing. At least if you have to wait to get it back, you're still getting it back. In this other gentleman's case, he's not getting it back at all. So Carbonite and Mozy, M-O-Z-Y, are great off-site backups where you don't have to know how to do anything. It just works automatically anytime your computer is turned on. In fact, when you first install it, I would recommend you leave the computer on overnight just to give it time to upload and send all of your data up to them, and that's all encrypted on their side.
What about iCloud and OneDrive by Microsoft?
iCloud and OneDrive are online storage areas where if you have the technical knowledge to know how to use that, you can use that as a backup source. The problem I run into most often with the regular, ordinary computer users is they just simply don't know how to back up. So services like Carbonite and Mozy solve that. Just download the application, pay them their money, and you're good for a year, and everything happens. You don't have to worry about it. You do have to worry about if data is being stored in other non-conventional places, because it won't back those up unless you tell it to. But everything that's in your My Documents folder will get backed up. And Carbonite is always being programmed to look for certain kinds of files that are popular. Like for a while, QuickBooks used to put their Quicken used to put its Quicken data in the program files directory with the program. They've since changed that where it's in the My Documents now. But Carbonite had updated that it would search for those QBW files and back them up anyway. So, and then of course you can always right-click on a file that Carbonite is not backing up. You can right-click it and say, back this up with Carbonite, and Carbonite will not only back it up that one time, it'll continue to monitor that file for any changes and back up the updates as well. But yeah, services like Google Drive, Microsoft's OneDrive, they're just online storage that you can utilize to put copies of files out there. Other questions? Got one right over here.
I want to go back to something you said, and I'd like you to clarify it for me. So if I have PC that's going to expire in the near future. You said you might just as well give your wallet away,
If you were to continue to use that computer after it's expired.
but why? I don't understand that.
Okay. There are over 100,000 new viruses released to the internet each and every day. And the way we handle viruses is really no different than the way we handle criminals. We can't arrest anybody until they've done something wrong. So we have to wait for the virus to do something, or to become a virus, to be recognized as a virus. Then the antivirus knows what to look for to remove it. So it's always a game of catch-up. When Microsoft stopped supporting Windows 7, or Windows Vista, which is coming right up, those updates, Microsoft releases updates every Tuesday, and those updates are to fix exploits that hackers can use to break into your computer without you doing anything, just being connected to the internet. When Microsoft drops support, that means they stop updating it, they stop fixing it. Software is never done. Software always has to be constantly modified and adjusted to react to how people are using it in a way that the programmers never thought they would use it. If Microsoft made screwdrivers, and somebody used a screwdriver and stabbed somebody in the face with it, they would have to redesign the screwdriver with an update so that they go, look, we didn't design it for that purpose, but now we have to make it so it won't work to do that anymore. Then someone else uses that to bust a window out of a car, so they have to re-update it again so it won't break a window. And then when they updated it so it wouldn't break a window, now the screwdriver function doesn't work anymore, so now they have to, the update broke it. So it's a constant battle of trying to stay safe. So if you don't go on the internet, you can use a computer from 1982, you'll be fine. But the internet is constantly evolving, and the criminals are becoming more bold and more clever. And if you're not going out there protected, you're going to be taken advantage of. They will get you. And they may not get you right away, or they might, but they will get you. And every month that, let's say XP hasn't been supported for over 2 years. So that's 2 years of updates that are missing. So that means every day and every month that someone were to continue to use Windows XP on the internet became more dangerous the longer time went on. So because the internet is constantly evolving, and there's a huge multi-billion dollar financial incentive to people to hack you, you really need to be on top of not just the operating system, but also your antivirus. And one does not supersede the other. Having the latest antivirus on an old operating system still isn't going to work. You need to have both things working together. And even that won't guarantee 100% protection any more than the example I like to use is the Volvo. You want to buy a safe car, you buy a Volvo, but that doesn't mean you no longer have to learn how to drive. You still have to make smart decisions behind the wheel. And hopefully an accident won't happen. But Volvo would never go so far as to say you wouldn't be hurt or killed in one of their cars. The responsibility still falls on you to make sure that the tires are good and make sure that the car is safe, and operational, and to drive it in a safe manner. And the same holds true for a computer. So yeah, it's pretty serious stuff. And I don't want to confuse you with this whole expiring thing, because I got a phone call from a scam artist who said that they were calling from Microsoft and that my Windows license has expired and it's $100 to renew it. Windows licenses do not expire. Windows expires, but the license never expires. When you buy that license, it's yours for life. So it was another video I did where I toyed around with the guy and I had fun with him. But, the minute he told me, he asked me if there was a Walgreens or a CVS nearby. Like, what's that got to do with anything? He wants me to send him iTunes gift cards can you think of any bill? I don't know why people do this, because people do it. I hope nobody in this room has done it. Can you think of any bill that you have paid with an iTunes gift card? Electric bill, car payment, cell phone, iTunes? Not even iTunes. Yeah, they wanted gift cards. And of course, anybody who wants gift cards as a form of payment, regardless of what they're calling you about, is a scam artist. And I will say this, if you receive a telephone call that you're not expecting from anyone who claims that there's an issue that money can resolve, it's going to be tax time, they're going to start calling as the IRS. Police are going to come arrest you. All right, come arrest me. And in my personal experience, regardless of how politically incorrect this is to say, they have all been from India. Nobody has spoken with a Western accent. All of the scam artists speak broken English. So I would alert you that if you receive a phone call from somebody with a foreign accent claiming you owe money, I would be very skeptical. That's not to say that the IRS doesn't hire people that have foreign accents, but they certainly are not going to call you. I've never had a call from the IRS, ever. I've tried calling. I've been on hold for like 6 hours and my battery died. I can't reach them. I mean, there's no way. And they sent me a form with my phone number so they can call me, and I'm going to put them on hold for 6 hours and see how long they're going to stay on the phone. So it is possible for the IRS to call you. But they're not going to say you're going to be arrested. The IRS doesn't work like that. So these phone calls are happening more and more often. It doesn't matter if you're on the do not call list. They just call random numbers endlessly. They have no idea who you're talking to. So when the guy called me, he said he was calling from the IRS. And I said, oh, in Washington, D.C.? And he said, yeah. I said, well, that's where I work. What floor are you on? He goes, what? I go, what floor are you on? You on the second floor? You working under Smith or you working under Wesson? He goes, yeah, under Smith. I go, me too. I'm standing up in my cubicle waving. Can you see me? What can I do for you? Click. I just like to have fun with them. What I really enjoy doing is keeping them on the phone as long as possible. That way they're not affecting a potential victim. And one of the ways you can annoy them is keep asking them to repeat them. I can't understand you. Can you say that again? And then say it completely wrong. You want me to go what? You 7? Great. Say that again. Can you speak slower? You want me? Oh, to open a website. Open a website. Okay. And what is it? And they'll spell it out. WWW. No. It just play stupid. Because here's the way they think. They actually arrested 70 of these telemarketers that were pretending to be IRS agents. And they arrested them in India. It's a shocker, I know. And the owner of the company, or one of the owners of the company, spoke to the press and said, we're not doing anything wrong, these are Americans. If they're that stupid, then they don't deserve to have what they have. No conscience, no guilt. When the guy called me about my Windows license expiring, it was on December 23rd. I said, what do you mean my license expired? How does that work? And he goes, oh yeah, hackers got your license. I go, 2 days before Christmas, hackers took my Windows license? He goes, yeah. I go, well, that's a terribly mean thing to do 2 days before Christmas. I mean, what a horrible, horrible excuse for life, for somebody to try and take advantage of another person 2 days before Christmas. Isn't that horrible? Isn't that just an inhumane, callous thing to do to another human being? Oh, yes. And I like to tell them, well, you sound Indian, you're probably Hindu, and I know I can trust Hindus because, well, Hindus believe in karma, and any bad thing you do in this life will come back to you in the next life. You believe that, right? Oh, yes. I just try and keep them on the phone as long as I can keep them on the phone, and just drop little hints, little things. And I had him log into a computer, and I had the computer's username was Sucker. He never even noticed. It's like, you're logged into Sucker. So you don't have to get upset when they call. You can have fun with it. but just don't become a victim to it. And it's just getting crazy with the excuses. I'm trying to think how many I've had. Your computer has a virus. No, it doesn't. The other thing is your Windows license expired, or it's the IRS and we're going to arrest you because you have an outstanding debt. And of course now the Canadian pharmaceutical companies, which are sort of legit and sort of not, they're selling fake medications out of India, saying they're in Canada when they're not. And if you do buy something from them, you will receive something from them, though I would have it tested at a lab before I'd ingest it. They had some Viagra pills that they bought on like 20/20 or 60 Minutes that were mostly made of drywall. Do we have other questions?
Okay, I'm involved with CenturyLink, and anyway, I get all my email, and then I go to reply, and I get a little message, and I forgot what it says. I didn't memorize. But anyway, it will not let me reply. So I call CenturyLink, and we spend 30 minutes, and he said, everything here is perfect, but he won't give me anybody else to call or a solution. I cannot reply to any messages.
All right, so when you get an internet service provider, they include free email with that. So I have Cox Cable, and it comes with a Cox email address. I've never used it. CenturyLink, you'll have a CenturyLink email address. The problem with these email addresses from these internet service providers is you have to continually pay this internet service provider or you lose your email address. So if you move, why would you pay for internet service where you used to live just so you can keep your email address? My advice is to not use the email that comes with your ISP, but instead create a free account through Gmail or any other free email service. Particularly Gmail is what I recommend, because then your email address can be the same for life. It doesn't matter where you are in the world. If you have internet access on anybody's computer, a public computer, a computer on a cruise ship in the middle of the ocean, you can log into Gmail with your account and password and be able to send and receive messages without any of these issues. And because it's out there in the cloud, you don't have to worry about your hard drive dying and losing all your messages. So I realize that doesn't actually solve the problem you're having, because it would be impossible for me to know what's going on there. Their support would have to fix that. And if the person you're speaking to, if you're insisting on using this, you need to ask to speak to somebody in tier 2 or tier 3 higher up than them. Just what I would say is, if that's as far as you can help me, then please transfer me to someone else who can help me further. You run into people on the phone all the time when I hear these words, I can't help you, I'm okay with that. Good, thank you for being honest. Please transfer me to somebody who can. Or give me the name and number of somebody I can call. And if they are still being uncooperative, I want the name of your supervisor, or transfer me to a supervisor. Now, in a lot of call centers, the people pretend to be supervisors, because the supervisors get so many requests that okay, you're the supervisor now. And that's okay, that's fine. And see if they'll help you. And if they refuse to help you, I want to talk to your supervisor. If they refuse to help, I want to talk to their supervisor. Keep moving. And it's amazing how that works. I've been in places where simply doing the exact same thing and asking the same question but to a different person resulted in a completely different result. There's a story that Wayne Dyer, I don't know if you guys know who Wayne Dyer is, a spiritual guy, talks about going to the airport and they wouldn't let him check his laptop. And they said, well, we have these new rules. These new rules, you can't bring on anything more than this many pounds. That laptop's too heavy. Well, I can't check it in baggage. I'm on here on business. I have to go. I understand that's a new rule. I wasn't aware of it. So, next time I'll know and I'll pack accordingly. Oh, no, you need to do something about that now. Well, why? Well, it's a weight issue. And, he's looking behind him. There's a guy, 300-pound guy in line behind him. And he and his luggage and his laptop don't add up to 300 pounds. He's like, well, that doesn't make a lot of sense. So can I talk to somebody else? She goes, well, I'll get somebody from the back. No, don't get anybody from the back. So Wayne Dyer's thing is that some people are ducks and some people are eagles. And what's in the back? More ducks. They just, what do ducks do? They quack, 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 quack. So he wants an eagle. He wants to go above. Give me the boss. Give me the supervisor. And apparently that wasn't possible. So he said, fine, you know what? I'm going to get back in line. So he got back in line. And when it was his turn, he went to a different person. And he went to check into his plane. They said, okay, you're all set. And he goes, you know, I was given a hard time about my laptop. She goes, yeah, we changed our policy. And we haven't done a very good job of letting our customers know that. So you're fine on this trip. Just make sure next time, now you know. He's like, I got an eagle. An eagle soars, an eagle gets things done. And you will run into that a lot when you call support on the phone, because technical support over the telephone is where any of you in this room would start if you wanted to get into computer technical support. With the knowledge you have today, if you have one hand that can pick up a phone and a voice, you are qualified, all of you, to make minimum wage at a call center and read a script. That's who you're speaking to on your initial phone call. It's, in most cases, there's a few exceptions. GoDaddy has great support. They're here in Scottsdale, and they really know what they're talking about. It's a pleasure for me to have to call GoDaddy's technical support, and I'm usually not on the phone with them more than 20 minutes. We get it done. But the majority of places, you're calling somewhere in India, you have someone that's difficult to understand, and their knowledge is less than yours. Like you're going, how can I know more than this guy? Yeah. Do you know what he's making a day? Do you know what his education is? No. That is the lowest rung on the totem pole of technical support. So when you're calling technical support, you are going down as low as you can possibly go on the level of technical expertise for help. And sometimes that's all that's needed, because some people call and you say, well, did you turn it on? Oh, I got to turn it on. Is it plugged in? Of course it's plugged. Oh, wait a minute. Thank you, goodbye. Believe it or not, that's the majority of calls they get. My printer won't print. Well, is there paper in it? Well, where do you put the paper? And you can imagine really highly intelligent people don't have the patience for this. So, and the companies don't want to pay those highly intelligent people what their salaries they're demanding to deal with this kind of nonsense. So if you're answering the phone and 7 out of the 10 calls you get are people with absolutely no baseline of knowledge of computers, what do you mean power button? What do you mean? You end up treating everybody that way. You just expect it. So I call up and I go, look, I need to find out if someone's got my IP, because it seems like I'm getting a conflict on the address. Uh-huh. Is this something you can help me with, or you're gonna send me up tier 2? I'm gonna send you up tier 2. Thank you. So I'll actually kind of be a jerk about it. Like I will intentionally text speak right on that initial phone call, so I don't have any attempt from that first person to help me. Just get me somebody else. And it's just amazing how you can talk to another person and like, oh yeah, just click here and click there, you're good to go. Okay, thank you. Let's get the microphone we got all the way to the back here.
As far as viruses are concerned, and your phones, with the emails being, you have your email on your phone and then you have it on your computer, what's going to happen with that? If you open it on your phone, let's say.
Well, your phone is going to be running the iOS from Apple or the Android operating system. I don't think anybody's got a Windows phone anymore. They did have them. But these viruses, vast majority of them are written to infect Windows computers, because that's what there is most of. With phones, there's different levels of the Android operating system, different versions. I'm sure you've heard the terms. They've got Lollipop and Kit Kat and Marshmallow, and they would have to write the virus so that it would work with all those versions, and that would only encrypt the data on the phone. And data on the phone is nothing compared to the data people store on their computers. So I haven't really heard about it affecting phones yet. I'm sure that day will come. But for now, I don't see any reason to need an antivirus on your phone. Some companies do make them. I would say if I had a young child or a teenager who was very bold and curious, I'd put it on there. But we as adults tend to not experiment around too much, which is to our detriment too, because it limits how much we learn. But it's generally happening on Windows computers, because there are more Windows computers than any other kind of computer in the world. So when you write a virus, you want it to affect as many people as possible. That's why you don't see a lot written for Apple or Linux. They exist, but they don't get the news and they don't get the hype, and it's not really something that most people care about, because most people don't have that type of equipment. As a result, there's much fewer viruses for those platforms. So the likelihood of getting it is much, much less. So with the Windows platform, there's a lot more viruses. Your odds of getting it are much higher. And the day will come with smartphones where an antivirus will be necessary. But for now, it's pretty rare for somebody to get infected with a virus on their smartphone. Yes?
How new a computer do you need to have to install a solid-state drive versus what you currently have?
Any computer that's been built within the last 6 years should be able to have a solid-state drive installed, whether it's a desktop or a laptop, unless it's a really thin laptop. Like this laptop here is super thin, and it has a proprietary kind of drive in it. I think it's got a certain kind of M.2 drive, which is that little stick I was showing on the video. And yeah, within about 6 years, and if it's an all-in-one unit, you may not be able to do it, but if it's a standard laptop or a standard desktop, it's a worthy upgrade to do. It really is a great turbo boost in the performance of the machine. Well, the amount the solid-state drive costs depends on what size you want to buy. So pretty much the solid-state drives double, and the price doubles along with it. So if you want a 120 gig drive, they're about $60. A 240 gig or 250 gig drive is about $100. A 500 gig drive is about $200. A terabyte drive is about $350. A 2 terabyte drive is around $700. They have a 4 terabyte drive that is $1,400 today. That's as big as they go. And you know, it's really just a question of how much you want to spend. They all have the same shape. They all look alike. They all plug in the same. Only the capacities vary. And the larger the solid-state drive is, the faster it can transfer data. But if you're plugging it into an older computer, then the limitation may be the computer with regards to, you know, maybe the solid-state drive can transfer data at 550 megabytes, but maybe the controller on this old laptop can only do 250. Even still, that's going to be faster than whatever hard drive you had. I just did a laptop hard drive upgrade, and the hard drive the laptop had was doing 58 megabytes per second. And when I changed it to the solid state drive that could do 550, it wouldn't do 550 because it was too old, but it was still doing like 228, which was still almost 4 times faster than what it had. So that extends that laptop's life by a couple of years. And then, when you get rid of the laptop, you can always take that drive out and reuse it in something else, or put an external enclosure on it and use it as an external drive if you want to. Other questions? One of the tools I use when I either do backups or I'm going to replace a hard drive is a tool called Acronis. And I don't know if Acronis has been here in a while, but that is the tool I use that enables me to take all the data off of one hard drive and put it onto another one. And so what I do when I do that for a customer, when I upgrade a customer's hard drive to a solid state drive, I copy every bit of data, every temp file. If there were viruses, everything gets copied. So obviously I check to make sure it's clean before I do it. And I take the old hard drive and I give it to the customer, and they go, "What's this thing? What do I do with this?" I go, "That's your old hard drive. Stick it in a drawer somewhere it's a backup. Because, you know, these new solid-state drives can fail too. Doesn't matter if it's brand new, it could just fail. Now, I've never seen a failed solid-state drive, but I've heard the stories. And what I recommend people do is take the drive, put it in a drawer somewhere, and hope you never need it. And after a year or however long where you determine that the data on the drive is no longer valuable to you, and you're having a particularly frustrating day with your computer, take it outside to the driveway with a hammer, and it's worth the value in therapy alone. And you're killing two birds with one stone. And that's how you can ensure nobody's going to get the data off of that drive when you dispose of it. Just destroy it with a hammer. Yes?
How much does it cost to install the solid-state drive? And then where's the best place to buy it?
Well, the way I run my business is I charge a $125 flat rate to do whatever needs to be done. So in most cases, I'll come out, pick up the computer. If it's a laptop, I need the laptop and the power cord. And I don't sell parts. If I sell parts, I got to mark them up. And then people are going to go, I could get this cheaper over there. And then I got to charge sales tax and file for it. So I don't do that. What I'll do is I'll say, look, here's a part I recommend. You can get it at Newegg. You can get it at Amazon. I don't care where you get it. This is what I'm recommending. If you agree to that, you'd get the part. I have some customers order right online and have it shipped right to my door. Once I get it, I do the work and then bring it back to you. So it's whatever the drive costs plus the $125 on the labor. So, but again, that's assuming the hard drive can be upgraded. On some laptops, on some devices, it's not practical or worthwhile, especially on really older machines. I'm a terrible businessman in that if I think you'd be better off putting say it's $100 for the drive and $125 for me, that's $225. A new laptop, a good one's $500. I'll just tell you honestly, if I were you, I'd put that $225 towards a brand new laptop. It'll have a new battery, it'll be faster, it'll be warranted. It may not come with a solid-state drive, but it'll still be faster than what you had. And then if a year or so down the road you decide you want it even faster and you want to put a solid-state drive in that one, we can do it. Or buy it with the solid-state drive already in it for an extra $100 and it'll save you the $125 in labor down the road. So the thing about doing repairs, everybody's different. Everybody's got something different. Everybody's got different wants, needs, different budgets. So it's hard for me to stand up here on stage and give you an exact figure. So it just really depends. And again, if you've got a 500 gigabyte hard drive in your laptop and you're using 400 gigabytes of it, you're going to have to spend $300 on the solid-state drive that's 500 gigs in size that can hold that much. Most people don't. Most people only use about 60 gigs or less. But avid people that are into photography or collecting a lot of music, that stuff adds up very quickly. And storage is no different. George Carlin used to do a routine called A Place for My Stuff. Whether we're talking virtual storage or actual storage, it's the same thing. The more stuff you have, you got to find a place to put it. So it costs you more money now. If you've got to rent the storage unit to put the stuff that you bought, that's more money every month. I know my wife had some furniture in storage. I said, why are we doing this? After a year's worth of storage, we could go buy new furniture. Brand new, it'll smell like new. It won't have any must or dust or anything with the storage unit from the heat, the extreme heat. Well, this has sentimental value. I'm a computer guy. No sentimental value. I'm like Spock, If it don't make dollars, it don't make sense. You'll see a lot of talk about virtual reality. That's been a buzzword now for a little over a year. Everybody's getting all excited about it. And I just want to clarify something. Just like when people talk about the cloud, they're really talking about someone else's computer. That's all that means. And when we talk about virtual reality, virtual means make believe. That's all it means. We've been doing this since we were kids. So when someone says I have a virtual office, they have a make-believe office. When someone puts on a virtual reality, they want to make believe they are somewhere else other than in this room. That's all it is. And you'd think this is some spectacular thing. And it does have its purpose, clearly training purposes, flight simulators, things of that nature, has its purpose. But right now, with all the talk of virtual reality, we have no real application for it that the common man needs. There's nothing. It's just neato. Isn't this neato? I can be here and be somewhere else. Okay, but you're not really somewhere else. You're just pretending to be somewhere else. I did that when I was 5. Thought I outgrew that. No, you can play video games and you walk through the halls and you go, okay, what did that get done at the end of the day? So I guess I'm getting older. But the thing is the when you hear that word, I just want you to remember, virtual means make-believe. So whatever the virtual thing is, it's pretend. And it's a multi-billion-dollar pretend market, for what I don't know. Yes?
Back to solid-state drives for just a second. Do most computers now come with solid-state drives, or is it an option? How does that work?
Most computers are not coming with solid-state drives because the manufacturers are trying to cut their prices. Because when the consumer goes to Best Buy or Fry's, they go, where's the $500 laptops? Or where's the laptop? So that one's $800, I'm not even going to look at it. That one's $600, I'm not going to look at it. This one's $350, oh, $350. So it's really no different in that you're going to get what you're going to pay for. You're going to buy a $350 laptop, you're going to get a $350 laptop. When you go to the car dealer, and you go, well, that's a $30,000 car, that's a $25,000 car. $10,600. I guarantee you, you are not looking at a brand new Cadillac. I promise you. You're probably not looking at anything with over 100 horsepower. Probably. That doesn't mean that you shouldn't buy it, but your expectations should be set accordingly. Okay, so if you're going to spend a smaller amount of money, then you should expect less. But the average consumer, when they go to Best Buy or they go to Fry's, they're looking at that price. So when Dell is up against HP and Dell's got the solid state drive and 16 gigs of RAM and a 15-inch screen, and it's $900. And the HP sitting right next to it has the same size screen, the same size hard drive, with a quarter as much memory. But it's a mechanical hard drive versus a solid state drive. Well, it's $250 cheaper. I'm going to buy the cheaper one. So what do you do as Dell? Well, we got to make machines to compete with that. And the bar just goes lower. And that's why it's done. So yes, you can buy a laptop with a solid state drive. They do offer them. And for the most part, if you go to Dell's website, you can actually build it in many cases the way you want it. And as the prices continue to come down on solid state drives, it's just a matter of time before regular hard drives are wiped out for all but people who need mass amounts of storage. And Intel has some new technology coming out this year, hopefully, called Optane, which takes solid state drives to a whole nother level. And I don't want to speak too much about it because I don't know that much about it, and I like to wait and see if it actually performs up to the marketing claims, because I've been in this industry far too long, where lots of promises are made, and some products never seen the surface of day. So just like the Consumer Electronics Show was just last week, and that's where companies are showing off all this new stuff coming out. They got 8K TVs coming out. 8K. Anybody here have a 4K TV? So you guys with 4K TV, what 4K do you watch on it? Because Cox Cable doesn't have any 4K content. Well, it's obsolete now. The 8Ks are out. Yes, sir.
When's the next version of Windows coming out?
Well, Microsoft said that there's no more versions of Windows. It's Windows 10 forever. As you can imagine, as a technician, this is a nightmare, because when I go, what version of Windows do you have? And you say Windows 10, I need to ask which version of Windows 10. Do you have the creators build, or do you have the anniversary update, or I don't know, how can I tell? It just says Windows 10. This is going to be a nightmare. And it's going to get long in the tooth, because it's going to be uncool to have Windows 10 to the next generation coming in going, I don't want Windows 10, that's what my parents had. Microsoft has to keep innovating, and part of that innovation is simply changing the name. And companies have known this forever. You know, Ford had the Taurus, and then they changed it to the 500, and then they changed it back to the Taurus again. It's the same car. All they did is rebadge different names on it. What do you know? The Taurus name sells better. It's the same car. But if you call it a Taurus, it sells better than if you call it a 500. So when Microsoft sticks to Windows 10 and refuses to say this is Windows 11 or Windows 12, they start to stagnate. And I can't believe a company as big and as powerful that's been in business as long as Microsoft could be this stupid. It is incredibly stupid to me. So there's already been 3 updates to Windows 10, which might as well have been 10.1, 10.2, and 10.3. And another major update is set to come out. And that's the way Microsoft's got it as of today. And I'll be delighted when their marketing department finally wakes up to the fact that we need to reinvigorate and change the product name. And for right now and for a couple of years from now, it'll just be Windows 10. And it'll just automatically update itself to whatever the latest version is, whether you like it or not. That's the current model. We have other questions? So I was contacted by a company, you might have seen them on TV, they're called PC Pit Stop. You guys heard of PC Pit Stop? And they've been promoting a product on infomercials on TV called PC-Matic. And I don't really care for the way PC-Matic does things, and we got into a little bit of a fight. And I said, I'll tell you what, PC-Matic, I will do a favor for you just because I am biased and I don't like your product. If you give me some licenses, I will ask for volunteers from the audiences that I present to. And if anybody wants to participate, I will give them the copy of PC-Matic with a 1-year license for free in return for their participating in the study. And here's the way the study will work. I'll make a backup image of your computer. Just in case this thing screws up your computer, we can return it back to the way it was. Then I'm going to give you a copy of the software and the product key and tell you to do it yourself. Because after all, this isn't intended for a technician to do. This is intended for an everyday user. And if you run into any problems, you contact me. If your computer stops working, you contact me. If at some point you get so frustrated with it you want it removed, you contact me. And then we can either remove it or restore your computer back to the way it was, or you write out the year free license and we evaluate over the year, was it something that you would buy? Would you recommend it? Anybody here interested in that? Nobody wants to go through that potential trouble, huh? So, my issue with PC-Matic is basically this guy created software. He didn't even create it. He paid somebody to write it. And then he pays for commercials on TV. And then he has reviews that are questionable, in my opinion, as to how legitimate they are, stating how great the product is. And as a technician, it offends me because there are programs like Malwarebytes that I highly recommend. And Malwarebytes was written by this college kid who was so sick and tired of all the different types of malware that were out there, malicious software, and the way the current antivirus companies were inadequate in getting rid of it. He wrote a program himself. He didn't know it was going to take off and that he was going to be part of a board of directors of this company. That was never his intention. There's an authenticity and a genuineness to Malwarebytes that I can appreciate, versus some guy with money going, I'm going to create some software, so I'm going to hire this group of people, probably in another country, to write the software cheaply. And I'm going to pay for commercials on TV to advertise the software. And it's just a marketing machine. It's not about the software at all. Jim McAfee of the McAfee Antivirus Company openly admits that he had no interest in antivirus. The only thing he wanted to do was computers were new, and he learned that you could make one product and sell that one product 1 million times. How do I get into that money? And he's very honest about it, and that's what he did. He made the McAfee antivirus product, made it once, sold it millions upon millions of times. We update it, we sell it millions and millions of times. It's brilliant. You know, if you sell widgets, you have to, the cost of manufacturing the widgets, the cost of distributing the widgets. When you make software, you write it one time, and you just copy it. And so all you're doing then is getting product keys that are unique. And the product keys cost next to nothing to manufacture. It's all virtual. The thing about software is you can't hold it in your hands. Your data, these are bits of data, ones and zeros. You can't hold them. They do not exist as atoms. So it's all virtual. And it's a brilliant marketing plan. But me personally, I want to see people succeed like Marcin, who's the creator of Malwarebytes, where the intention was to solve an immediate problem he had, and then that takes off and becomes this giant company. And so for antivirus, the two companies, what antivirus do I recommend? Oh, I'm glad you asked. The two companies that I recommend right now are Malwarebytes and this other one called MCSoft. It's EMSISOFT. I've talked about MCSoft in the past. Now, MCSoft has a free, what they call their emergency kit, or EEK, MCSoft Emergency Kit, which you can download for free and run on any Windows computer. Regardless of what antivirus you have now, this will give you a free second opinion to ensure that, in fact, your computer is clean. I can guarantee about 20 to 30% of the people in this room have things on their computer, whether it's a virus or just what we call potentially unwanted, that your antivirus let through. So you can download this emergency kit from MCSoft and execute it, run it, and it will do a free scan of your hard drive. And if it finds anything, I suggest you remove it. I wouldn't worry about what it is and defining it. I would just go, look, if it showed up, it's bad, get rid of it. And then restart your computer, and you're done. I mean, it's that easy. It costs you nothing but a few moments of your time. And then I would do that about every 6 months, unless you have MCSoft, in which case it would be redundant. But it's a free utility. I've talked about it in the past. I even got a video showing how that works. Yes, we have a question in the back.
First, can you spell that again?
It's spelled EMSISOFT. MCSoft is how it's pronounced.
Next question is, a lot of times there's things that pop up like Slim Cleaner, and you have all these different anti-spyware and on and on and on. What do you do with all of that? I mean, I keep on Xing out. It's like,
Yeah, you shouldn't need any sort of cleaning utilities. I would avoid all of those. Today's modern Windows from Windows XP forward doesn't need the registry cleaned. It doesn't need the temp files wiped out, at least not with any third-party software anyway. If you want to clean temp files out on a computer, you can go to your C drive on any computer, right-click on it, and go to Properties, and there's a button right there that says Disk Cleanup. Hit that button, and you can wipe out everything that appears. It'll have little check boxes. You can check every single one of the boxes and then click to clean it, and that will erase all the temp files and unneeded files and old Windows updates, for example, things like that, can all be cleaned out to free that hard drive space up. And for the most part, people have very large hard drives, so space isn't really an issue unless you have one of those solid state drives and it's small and it starts to get jammed up from temp files. But you still don't need to download CCleaner or Slim drivers or a Slim Cleaner. I think those programs potentially cause more harm than any good that they do, and I would avoid you to stay away from them. And as far as any antivirus goes, if you're using Malwarebytes or you're using MCSoft, you don't need any other antivirus. You don't need any other anti-malware. You don't need any other anti. You're already covered. You don't need it. So the internet is just profoundly flooded with advertising and marketing. And just, you got to be very skeptical with anything you read on the internet and the claims that people make. And of course, if you're ever uncertain, you can always reach out to me and ask me. Or you can always do a Google search. You know, we always, as technicians, we say Google is your friend. You could type in the name of the product with the word review and start seeing what people are saying about it. If somebody calls you from a number you don't recognize, Google that phone number. You might be surprised at what you learn. Even if it's a phone call you missed, you're curious, who called me? Oh, this is a place that does business loans. I'm glad I didn't answer it. And what I end up doing on my phone is actually save the number under the name Do Not Answer. So if they ever call back, I don't know who it is, but I know it's someone I don't want to talk to. So are we about out of time?
That we are. Thank you so much.
All right. Well, listen, thank you so much for seeing me. Appreciate it. I have my business cards up here that have my name and number for anybody who doesn't already have it. They're right up here. And thanks again for coming to see me.